but most of us founders. Brewdog defends everybody.
What did Brewdog do?
Something to do with I can't remember. I know it had something to do with selling cans only to men. Oh no, it was selling cans during breast cancer month. Can only piss off a lot of like the most ironic thing in the fucking world. All men do is piss people off.
Yeah, that's not men getting pissed off normally isn't the thing.
They did something else because I know Nick. I forgot what they did. It was somewhere out. I think it was out in London where they're originally based. I don't remember what they actually did.
Huh.
I don't really have an issue. They have one of the coolest looking breweries.
They do. Good Mexican hot chocolate stout too.
The one that there's a darkness variant that was good, and I have one of the Dulce Vidania variants this year is a Mexican hot chocolate, 15%.
Whew.
Yeah,
it's a Mexican barley wine.
No shit, right? Russian Imperial Stout with chocolate, cinnamon, and I think habanero peppers at 15%. I'm like, fuck. How do you get that even at 15%? It's impressive.
And welcome to Beerfield Distillery Gossip. I am your host at Hot BFF with 2 P's, joined by Terry BFF with 2 F's. Be honest with you, we don't really know what we're doing today. It's kind of been a whirlwind of a couple weeks. So, then we'll talk about news. We'll do a preview. There might be some other things that come up and come to mind. We're just going to kind of wing it. So, I'll start. Dan, I'm at Hot BFF. He's at 30 BFF. Shows Beerfield FF on Twitter. Beerfield Fantasy Football on YouTube. If you're not there, what are you waiting for? Like, subscribe, hit the notification icon. Come hang out with us during the shows, but especially on Sunday mornings where you can ask all of your questions, get them all answered, and, maybe we have a surprise round of getting the band back together.
Oh, so much fun.
That was a lot. Sunday morning was a lot of fun with all 3 of us. Cheers, Darren. Welcome.
What's up, buddy?
And we hit on a lot of things, so that was good.
Yeah, we had a hell of a Sunday. Like, even like some of the debates we even got right.
Yeah,
like the 5 or 6 players to pick from.
Where we landed on, it was a good day. So, So for those that didn't listen on Sunday and weren't here, first off, apologies for not having a show last week, as most of you hit either semifinal or quarterfinals in your playoffs, or we're making your final playoff push. We were about to record, literally minutes from recording, and a little bit of a delay. I think I was having some of the same problems that Lamar Jackson did, allegedly. So I was trapped in a bathroom. Told Dan, text me to wait, that I'm using the restroom. Then I end up trapped. Most of you will have had this happen before. I got 4 bathrooms in this house, and apparently the one I was in had no extra toilet paper, so that was a wait. And then we ended up going to the hospital to have my kid. So I am now a father, which, as you can imagine, means not a lot of sleep and not a lot of stroke prep time. So that happened before Sunday, but last night's the first night I think he slept for any length of time overnight. So we're getting there, but yeah, kind of a whirlwind there. So that's my unpreparedness. Dan, how are things in your world?
Well, as I share this out to the Twitterverse here, as when there's life gained, unfortunately, there also at times are life lost. I lost my grandfather, Mr. Ken Thury himself, Sunday afternoon. About 5 p.m. I'm not going to get into the details. It's been a pretty stressful time. I haven't really experienced death to this magnitude just yet. I've been fortunate enough to have both my grandparents, all three of mine, effectively, for the entirety of my life. My grandfather is partly the reason why I have a gambling problem. It's partly the reason why I'm a sports fanatic. He grew up a lifelong Browns fan. That's why I'm wearing my Baker Mayfield jersey on today. And in dedication to him, unfortunately, the game last night couldn't have gone in their favor. And in both ways, the Ravens' safety at the end of the game actually pushed them to cover. So if you took the Browns to +3, loss. But this show is dedicated to him. This show is dedicated to Chris's son, and it's a whirlwind for both of us. Obviously, both of these things, we were both expecting these things to happen at different times, not when they did, and not within the 5 days.
Yeah, roughly
the 3 days, the 3 or 4 days, roughly that they came in. So, it's going to hit it a little differently. Again, as you said, we apologize for not being prepped. But if you listen to the show, as long as you have, we don't fucking prep for much.
We're never really prepared. But we do have a question. So, Chris Carson or Michael Thomas at Flex from Carlos. So that's a new name. So welcome, Carlos, first off. Second off, Chris Carson or Michael Thomas at Flex. You've got... Let's see. The Seahawks have Washington, and the Saints have Kansas City. I think it's Michael Thomas.
Yeah. The fact that we have to think about this really speaks to how far Michael Thomas is kind of dropped with Taysom Hill at the helm. Yeah, I'm going with I go with Michael Thomas across the floor. Washington's defense, especially their tremendous. That's what happens when you add a bunch of.
Yeah, Washington's defense has been pretty good here as of late, particularly the pass rush. But yeah, it's Michael Thomas. The floor for Michael Thomas has been fine. May not get a boom game, but he's not going to kill you. So I would make the safe play there at your flex spot. All right. Good to have an early question in, honestly. Get in the swing of things. Let's get into what we're drinking because we ain't done that yet.
Oh.
What's fueling beer for you?
Dan, you got a variant of Surly's Darkness?
Yeah, drinking Surly's Darkness. This year's variant, one of the three. There might be more, but we only got three at work. And this is the rye barrel-aged Russian Imperial Stout with chocolate and vanilla beans. I've quickly come to find out that rye, a barreled age, is my more preferred way. I just hits better. This one I think clocks in at like 12%. This one's only 12%. More of my thoughts in this later. Spoiler alert, is fucking delicious.
Yeah. Washington, by the way, 26th in points allowed to the running back. So that is a 26 is in there towards the top of the league and not allowing points. So they've been pretty good. Looks like just 5 double-digit performances against them and just 3 over 15 points. So, especially if it's any form of PPR, still Michael Thomas. All right, I am drinking Goose Island's Rismus. So, Merry Little Rismus is a beer that's brewed for the Rizzuto Morning Show. Shares on the Point down here in St. Louis. So, Templeton is damn good rye, by the way. Anyway,
yes,
Templeton is damn good rye. Rittenhouse, by the way, Darren, if you haven't had Rittenhouse before, is also very, very good rye. Kind of reminiscent of Big Red, but it's not like fake sugary flavor like Fireball is. It's just very, very good flavor to it. So if you haven't had it, Rittenhouse, pretty solid. Merry Little Rismus, though. It is an amber ale, cocoa nibs, vanilla, ginger, and cinnamon added. So Christmas ale, brewed for the Rizzuto Morning Show, which airs on their local alternative / rock station down here at 105.7 The Point. So yeah, we'll give you a full review about midway through the episode. Let's go ahead and get into some news as we learn the news. So, which requires me to pull up the news. News.
News, and more news.
John Brown has been designated to return from IR. It's a 3-week window. We've seen Gabe Davis kind of have a mini breakout and really flash a little bit in John Brown's absence, but really seen Stephon Diggs take over in the passing game there. So, keep an eye on Diggs' status. We'll have a full game preview for that Bills game coming up later in the show.
Yeah, just means if he's more Gabe Davis, if Brown can't go. He was one of your favorite rookies, and he's been, one of the bigger, a big reason again that this has to not, as said, especially Josh. Obviously, the addition of Diggs has been huge. I think been the biggest part of that, but Gabe Davis's ability to kind of be productive in the limited touches that he's been also great.
For sure. Henry Ruggs placed on the COVID-19 list, so he's going to miss Thursday's game, even if he was just a close contact. He will not play on Thursday. It's slight boost for Nelson Aguilar. Working outside, who they used on deep routes. Again, full preview coming up later in the show. But that should take Nelson Aguilar up into the wide receiver 2-3 range. Always touchdown upside there, too. Des Bryant's been activated from the reserve COVID-19 list. He tested positive, left, etc. I don't know. I still have no interest in Ravens pass catchers.
It was one of the greatest Twitter rant we got to see, though. That's been the only benefit of it because no one really cares about any Ravens pass catcher. But Dez's assumed meltdown after being taken off.
Yeah.
Finest.
A few Chargers notes. Mike Williams returned to practice on Tuesday. Austin Eckler returned. Keenan Allen returned. So it sounds like maintenance days for that trio. Melvin Gordon was projected to have not practiced with the shoulder injury, so keep an eye on him. Same thing with Noah Fant. Broncos did not actually practice on Tuesday. Christian McCaffrey is expected to miss Saturday's game against the Packers. That is one thing to note, by the way. Week 15 and 16, Saturday games.
That's huge to know.
Yeah.
On top of Thursday, anything that they have to move. Saturday football.
Yep.
Saturday pro football again.
You do. Your Saturday games are Bills, Broncos, and Panthers, Packers. So be reminiscent of that. Aware. I don't think reminiscent's the word I was looking for. Matthew Stafford may not play this week against Tennessee. Chase Daniel is his backup. He's got a rib injury that's apparently been bothering him. Jameis Winston dynasty news. Sean Payton said Jameis Winston would get a chance to be the team's starting quarterback after Drew Brees retires.
I would hope so. I mean, what's the point of having him in now if you can't even give him a chance? Taysom Hill has helped win him some games, but I think
that while they performed well, Taysom Hill is a pure passer. Is still not. Yeah, I don't know. They'll compete.
Oh, I mean, yeah. And then they'll compete.
I mean, Taysom Hill was fine this past week, having to throw 38 times, 37 times the week before. 73% completion. Not a ton of yards, but they'll let him.
Well, they got to keep it simplistic. Keep it, low to the line. Not have them try to go thread it.
Yep. Wow, an ad just tried to play. That was not kosher. James Conner injured quad after being really ineffective against Buffalo. So, yeah, I don't.
I mean, water's wet.
Water's wet, exactly. James Conner's hurt and water's wet. Kalen Ballage returned to normalcy this past week, by the way. That was nice to see. Austin Eckler and then the other three, exactly as we drew it up. Devontae Parker is uncertain this week against the Patriots. He left week 14 with a hamstring strain, so keep an eye on that. Lynn Bowden saw the target volume.
If he's out there in both redrafted dynasty, I'm surprised if you. I have actually found him in one. He did a bunch of work due to the offense, and there is no real. Tua isn't really locking eyes on the Bowden's ability to be Montgomery. It gives him a lot of fantasy.
Yeah, and he'll be used as a receiver. He's a former quarterback, so he'll play some wildcat. And he'll be used some in the running game too. So one of those triple threat type of players. But 9 targets, 82 yards, solid day for Lynn Bowden.
A question from has to do with you pick up Hamler or Bowden for the flex with Mike Williams.
My thing with KJ Hamler is
boom.
It's boom. It's exactly it. He had 3 targets and 2 of them went for long touchdowns. That's my thing with KJ Hamler. Broncos do get the Bills, but Bills defense played very, very well against the Steelers.
Still going Bowden.
So I'm going Bowden. No, that's what I was saying. I'm going Bowden. I'm not going Hamler.
I don't dislike him. There's a lot to like with Bowden, and maybe seeing already a higher floor. Bowden, sorry. I was saying Bowden's pretty good. Bowden.
Yeah, I like Bowden more, but it's Bowden. So yeah, as of right now, I would rather have Bowden in my back pocket than KJ Hamler.
Makes me want to say Bodum.
Just
half acre.
Yeah, children of Bodum.
Children of Bodum. Yes.
Ronald Jones is having surgery. Same procedure that Chris Godwin underwent. So, could only miss 1 week, but that's big for the fantasy playoffs. So, Fournette was a healthy scratch. I'd expect him to be back.
Sean McCoy, Leonard Fournette,
Keyshawn Vaughn.
You have 3 generations of football players.
That's nuts. I think that's how generations work. Brandon Cooks expected to return this week. So good news there. The Alex Smith has a calf injury. Keep an eye on that. Dwayne Haskins still ineffective, still not a good quarterback.
Yep.
Mostert had an MRI, so we're back to Jeff Wilson. And other news, water's wet.
Marquise Brown.
He did stuff. Yeah, you're following along at home, aren't you? Okay, yeah, I'm at Monday night stuff now that I don't particularly care about. Deebo Samuel has a hamstring injury, by the way. He's going to be out for a while, so he's done again. Brandon Ayuk assumes top wide receiver duties there.
Yeah, I don't expect Deebo to be back. And to speak to the point about McCaffrey, too, I don't expect both. Both Panthers, 49ers are out of playoff. Might be out of playoff contention, and there's absolutely zero reason to rush these guys back. Keep that in mind. McCaffrey's back for your semi-playoffs. I don't expect. I think it came on. I think Shanahan came on. He doesn't expect Deebo. Unlikely. They make the playoffs.
Sure. Denzel Mims returned to practice after being out all last week and missing last week's games due to personal reasons, so he'll be back. Adam Gase is not going to bench Frank Gore this season, even though Ty Johnson had another huge game. Okay.
Thanks, Adam Gase.
I guess don't leave who brought you to the prom.
He's doing a really good job of making sure that Jets get that. I bet you that Jeff told him, like, if you win a fucking game.
Yep. In great news, Gardner Minshew's back.
In a little worse news, against the Ravens.
Yeah, it's against the Ravens, but he is back. Scapegoat after being scapegoated, and then the Jags rattling off a bunch of losses with Luton and Glennon. Turns out Mike Glennon was finally ineffective, so Gardner Minshew's back. And yeah, mop-up work last week looked like Gardner Minshew, so
yep.
That's good news for the offense, I think.
Great news. Yep.
Jalen Hurts still going to start week 15. That's in line with what we'd seen before. Hurts had a great day on the ground and a so-so day passing. Definitely showed some promise, though.
He is a buy high in Dynasty. Don't be scared to pay the prices. Has to get him. This is a talented roster when everyone's healthy. Hurts is far better than what he was when we first started this podcast. He just gives his team a different. Went out there and beat
He's
the best team in the NFL.
shown the ability to learn and to progress as a passer. So,
What are you selling him for? I'm not selling.
you buy.
Hurts. You're buying Hurts. I would even go out there and buy Carson Wentz because roster next.
I don't know how. I don't know how they do anything with that
It's going to
contract.
be by trade. They will not cut him.
They're gonna
1000%
still
they
gonna
won't cut
eat
him.
dead money in a trade.
Yeah,
I don't know how they do it.
I think teams are more. I think teams are more inclined. I think Philly will be okay with eating that cap if they're not going to. I think Wentz is on a new team, and then they're going to go out. I'd go out there. They lost now.
You got to commit to
Wentz isn't as bad.
You got to commit to a full rebuild around Jalen Hurts if that's what you're gonna do.
Yeah,
You got to because
which hurts Miles Sanders' dynasty value. That's why I've been. But we'll get into these dynasty values here in the offseason.
yeah, we're close. That will Eagles will be a fun conversation as far as what's going to happen there because they're going to be a
lot of
hot
speculation.
landing spot for a lot of people, and there's some good buy lows there and some good, buy highs too.
Yeah.
So I wasn't scrolling when I did that. That's my bad.
I started scrolling. I don't think.
David Johnson news if anybody cares. Trubisky's been good since he came back. QB9.
Derrick Henry needs to average 156 yards in 1,000 yards. That's cool. Deontay Johnson was effectively benched through most.
Well, it's because he had 2 drops early on, and that's been the problem.
3 targets.
That's
the first quarter.
Been the problem with Deontay Johnson. Every game I've watched the Steelers closely is that he's got drop problems. He gets separation, he gets targeted. He's a solid route runner, but he has his drop problems, and they've crept up and bit him.
Hard to play the Antonio Brown role, not catch that role that he tried to replace. Is all about gobbling up the targets that you can figure out the dropsy problems. Obviously,
yeah.
Target volume.
10 drops is first in the league, 0.8 per game, which is terrible. It's not like his catch rate's bad. It's
his drop rate.
His drop rate's terrible. That's
James. Yep. James Washington.
Huh?
I don't know. It's with Juju on.
Oh, I get it. With
contract,
Deontay
so-
Johnson, yeah. James Washington definitely will get some target volume. Claypool and Juju. I think Juju gets more of a boost from this working intermediate, though, than Johnson does working deep. Washington does working deep. But it does help.
Yeah, it just depends if plays less snaps. If his snap rate goes down and his route runs due to the so
For Deontay?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it could have been send him a lesson and then you go right back to him. It is still a young player. Tomlin's a good coach. So, I mean, that doesn't.
they have insane wide receiver depth.
Yeah, the other thing
Receivers
that
is a
it doesn't
choice.
ensure that Johnson's going to stay on the bench or lose playing time if it was just, hey, we're going to send a message. He's still tied for the team lead in targets, playing from behind most of the game. So
He's a good player.
he is. You just got to figure it out. That's all.
Yep.
We've seen it before.
We have Michael Gallup who bounced back from that effectively.
Well, not really. They were all 3 good, and then
Oh yeah,
Dak,
when Dak comes back next year and that defense,
yeah,
all
Dak,
3 are going to be very.
Dak broke. All right, so I saw something that I wanted to discuss on Twitter. There's a couple different things I've seen actually, but it was a 2018 quarterback class. And the question was simple. For Dynasty, or in general, who is currently the best quarterback in the 2018 class? Josh Allen, Sam Darnold, Lamar Jackson, Baker Mayfield. I think you can throw Sam Darnold out right now because he has not developed, whether you put that on him or on the coaching staff. I mean, the Jets have done a terrible job at developing him.
It wouldn't shock me if he goes to his next team. He is going to be replaced by Trevor Lawrence. Wherever Darnold lands, and I think Darnold has a great opportunity to be what Drew Brees was. Drew Brees, drafted by the Chargers, struggled. With Brees, he had a really good final season. Rivers, he went on to have what historic Hall of Fame career. And while Darnold is not Drew Brees, obviously, there is a path for him. That's all. Very young, also. He was the youngest quarterback out of the 2018 class. A lot of growth. Need to turn.
Yeah.
He's a very good buy low.
And the Jets could try to do two things, really, in the offseason when it comes to Sam Darnold. They could try to move him because he's only entering year 3. He's in year 3 right now, right?
He's entering year.
He'll be entering year 4, so he's not a free agent yet. I don't expect. They declined his 5th-year option already, didn't they?
I don't think they've decided.
Or is that?
They'll decide next year.
That's an off-season decision because he's entering year 4. They decide before their 4th year if they're picking up the 5th year. That's what it is. Yeah. So they haven't made a decision yet. I'd expect the Jets to do what the Bears did with Mitchell Trubisky and decline the 4th-year option. From there, there's 2 routes they can really go. They can take their draft pick, their high draft pick this year, draft a quarterback, and try to find a trade partner for Sam Darnold. But I think trading the pick yields them more draft capital than trading Sam Darnold does. You're the Devy guy. I don't know what next year's quarterback class looks like. But does it make more sense for the Jets to trade down in the offseason ahead of the draft to pick up draft capital given the number of holes that they have? They have holes at running back. They have holes at wide receiver. They have holes on the defense all over the place. They have holes on the offensive line. I mean, they need draft capital. Does it make more sense for them to trade back than it does for them to trade Darnold? Or do you ride out Sam Darnold as your starter for one more year like the Bears did with Trubisky and let him walk in free agency for nothing?
I think if we were looking at a non-generational prospect that Trevor Lawrence, and the Jets still aren't guaranteed to get that spot. They win a game. Jacksonville's got 1 win. Things can change. Things could change for them. But Lawrence he was a 5-star recruit coming out of high school. He's been better than what we expected. Struggled to start off this year, but then has assumed to bounce back and be is. I think if it's anybody else, I think you could go that route. But the league is built around the quarterback. Success is built around the quarterback.
You're applying logic to the Jets too.
Yeah, exactly. I know.
So
I like you can look at what Washington did in 2016 when they effectively traded ransom with the Rams or Philly when they moved up to take either guy. I can't remember which team did it. And while it looks good on paper to get all those first round picks from that, you also need to have the correct scouting department, right? A coaching staff to build players.
Sure.
Again, now we're applying logic to the Jets to do that properly. It definitely makes sense, and I'm sure there might be some teams that are going to call and offer a king's ransom, move up and get Lawrence if they get the first.
Right.
I wouldn't do it. I would take Lawrence.
It's just
build around him because you can still get a good trade value for Darnold.
Maybe. I mean, you get a fourth-year quarterback.
Rosen got a second-round pick and
regressed.
Darnold at least is showing a little bit.
He has shown a little bit more than Rosen did, but I still don't know that you get a lot. I mean, you might get some.
I just wouldn't take that risk to lose out on a guy like Lawrence. Yes, he's not guaranteed, but as sure as of a hit as Andrew Luck was. And I think passing on that and what he could do for this organization, it speaks more to it. I would take Lawrence, move Darnold. Maybe you get a second round pick for it. Use that to get offensive line. I know there's a lot of holes there. There's a lot that could be done to get that. I think it would take so much to get.
I think there's a lot that they can do with the ransom that they would get for that pick to build.
I think
in
Washington
got too.
3 first-round picks. I think between 2 years.
Yeah.
For Goff, I think it was the Rams. It was the Rams.
Yeah.
Or no, it was the other way around. Washington moved up, took RG3. Rams got all those picks, and those picks really didn't become anything. So
you got to trust your infrastructure to be able to draft too,
exactly,
in your scouting department to be able to draft. And the Jets,
it is a strong class this year. Strong class next year too. There's obviously reasons behind it. We're looking at 2 fairly strong quarterback classes. We got a question though.
Sure.
A little pivot here from Jared King. Choose 2 PPR. Woods, Keenan Allen, Chris Godwin, Robbie Anderson.
So Woods, Keenan Allen, Chris Godwin, or Robbie Anderson. Let's look at matchups. Woods, Rams and Woods.
So you put the matchups on here. Woods versus the Jets.
Okay.
Keenan Allen versus the Raiders. Chris Godwin versus Atlanta. Robbie Anderson. Just thank you, and thank you for the question, Jared.
We sure will. All right.
We probably won't, though. No one knows.
So, Woods against the Jets, I don't love. And the reason that I don't love that is the same reason you don't love anything against the Jets in the passing game, and that's because teams don't have to pass to beat the Jets. I like Keenan Allen against the Raiders. I think that is for sure one of the 2 for me.
You're not benching.
No.
It's hard to bench. I'd probably bench Robbie Anderson with likely to. I think. I don't know if you will agree with me, but I will remove.
Well, Robbie and the Packers have a solid secondary too. So for me, it's Keenan Allen against the Raiders, and he had 103 yards and a touchdown last time out against them. So it's Keenan Allen against the Raiders, and it's Chris Godwin against Atlanta. Are the 2 that I would roll with.
The big bounce back game, what should be a bounce back game for Tampa. I mean, last week should have been. Things went well. The passing game hasn't been much. There's so much there, and Brady just there. I would actually go with Woods over Godwin. If you gotta actually score points in the blowout, and the Rams want to use Woods not just as a passer, they use him as
not as a passer. They don't want to use Woods to throw the football. I don't blame them.
They just use him as the receiver. They want to get him the ball as a running back. Like I said, running Jets. Either way, I trust Woods' floor even a little bit more than Godwin's at this point. Just less mouse there, and Woods is almost guaranteed a target volume where Godwin's got to compete with.
And actually double checking that take. You don't get blow up games against the Jets, but like you said, there is decent floor. Metcalf went out for 12. Parker 11, Allen 20, Myers 16, Hill 21. I mean, you're getting at least double digits out of your top receivers. So, yeah, I don't think that there's a little bit more upside to Woods and about the same floor as there is to Godwin. So, I think we'll settle on that. I think it's Robert Woods and Keenan Allen.
Yep.
That's how we do things. We talk them out. That's what we do. Thanks for the question, Jared. All right, so we beat Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold is not the best quarterback in 2018 draft class.
He's not.
All right. That leaves Baker Mayfield, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen.
So I think we can take Baker out of this.
I think we can too.
As much as I love Baker, trust me, I am one of the biggest Baker truthers. His year 2, the struggles. If we see Baker ascend in year 2 with Stefanski next year, then I think we can revisit him as the best quarterback in this draft class, which we will.
And you're also going to have to keep an eye on, we'll get to Lamar in a second, but you got to keep an eye on, what Lamar does as well.
Yep. There's been his regression, speaking of Baker, from year 1 to year 2, he's looked really great this year. Stefanski did a great job with the Vikings last year with Kirk Cousins, with Dalvin Cook and this offense.
Phenomenal job with the Browns too, but the thing with
a hell of a job with the
Browns being great is that they've got 2 fantastic running backs, and Baker Mayfield, bad 3-game stretch, mostly playing in bad weather, has been good. He hasn't been blow up levels carry the team good. The last 2 weeks he's had
good. The last 2 weeks,
very big weeks, but he also hasn't. The first 12 weeks of the season didn't have to carry the team. He had to protect the football, not turn it over, and be good enough, and he was. But year 2 for me is what puts Baker out.
Yep. So the question becomes Jackson versus Allen. One quarterback has improved from year 1 to year 3.
Greatly.
One quarterback has seen the true progression. The coaching staff, the GM, has made the proper and correct moves to put him in the position to get better each and every year. Of course, we're speaking about Josh Allen. His argument's there. It's improvements across the board, from completion percentage, from deep ball completion, from a pressure percentage, from clean pocket percentage. He's gotten better overall, and the addition of Diggs is huge for that. The emergence of Gabe Davis and Dawson Knox in healthy, balanced offense with running backs that we like but are good enough. I would still point my hand to Lamar Jackson though. It's not bias. I'm not going to put bias into this. I did not like Josh Allen come on. I will not hide behind that, but I will definitely recognize improvements he's made each and every. And there's definitely a true argument to be made. Jackson won MVP. We've seen what Jackson's ceiling is, and while Josh Allen could get to that point, he's not there yet. The same way that we can't say that Baker's not there yet. Baker could also join this conversation next year against blow next year. Offense. The reason why that Baker was the first overall pick, our top quarterback in that.
So I will make the argument for Josh Allen, and I'm going to say it is Josh Allen. That Josh Allen is the best quarterback in this draft class right now. And that is because of the regression of Lamar Jackson and the fact that teams have figured out how to play against Lamar Jackson. And there's a blueprint for it in the playoffs. Obviously 9.0% touchdown percentage is not sustainable. But the thing I don't like about Lamar Jackson is he's regressed from a completion percentage standpoint. The running game has not been there, and teams have figured out that if you make Lamar Jackson throw, that game's going to be a lot closer. You take away the run game, and you make Lamar Jackson throw the football. His QB rating's down. He's taken more sacks this year, not scrambling as much. Teams have figured it out. Whereas, that year 2 to year 3 drop is not something you want to see. It's kind of Baker Mayfield, and a lot of what Lamar Jackson can do going forward is going to be predicated on his passing. And you said something that I don't agree with at all, and that is this. If we have seen Lamar Jackson's ceiling already, he is not going to be the best quarterback in this draft class. 3,100 yards, 36 touchdowns, to me, and then having it taken away the next season because people have figured out how to play against you cannot be his ceiling. He needs to be better as a passer, and he needs to be... The way he plays the game is fine. I'm not trying to be one of those guys that's like running quarterbacks can't be best quarterbacks. You got to pass to be a quarterback. I'm not trying to be that guy, but if teams are going to take away one facet, you got to be able to adjust to the other facet, and that's what we have not seen Lamar Jackson consistently be able to do. I'm not saying we haven't seen flashes of it, but we have not seen him consistently be able to do that yet. So if we have seen his ceiling already, that does not bode well for us revisiting this conversation in 2 years and saying Lamar Jackson is the best quarterback in this class. And today, It's Josh Allen for the reasons that you said, Dan. He has improved every season. You didn't like him coming out. I like the raw talent coming out, but there was obvious he was going to have to be developed, and he did. Yardage has gone up. Touchdown percentage has gone up. Interception rates gone down. Completion percentage has gone up every year. Yards per attempt. They've built a good team around him. Yards per game. The rushing floor is still there and hasn't suffered. His quarterback rating is up almost 20 points. He's taken fewer sacks. I mean, in every way that you can improve, Josh Allen has progressively improved all 3 seasons. So, right now the best quarterback out of this draft class is Josh Allen. Could it be Lamar Jackson down the line? Yeah, if you can figure out the passing game. You cannot touch Lamar Jackson's athleticism or what he does as a runner. He just needs to be average as a passer to be the best quarterback in this class, but he's below average right now in that regard.
Yeah, and I get it. I don't. If you want to say Josh Allen is, then I agree. There is no true disagreement. This is more 1A, 1B.
They're both good.
The quarterback position,
especially for fantasy,
change has exactly. It's involved immensely. More and more, the college type of success is being leaked over. Patrick Mahomes succeeding as the best quarterback in the league, coming from an air raid offense, changed our perception. Quarterbacks moving from offense. Getting college coaches creating that type of offense has given us hope that we're not looking at just a quarterback that can stand in the pocket and throw passes. They need to be mobile. Is what we've seen from these coaches, these new coaches that want their quarterbacks to be mobile, want their quarterbacks to be able to roll out of the pocket and be successful in playing, and to be successful with having to extend the plays. What we Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray, from these baseball backgrounds, to guys like Baker and even Kirk Cousins that are great with play action, and Josh Allen, again, to his credit, being this bigger body quarterback that can be really successful.
Over 500 yards on the ground, first 2 seasons. He's going to clear 400 this year.
You cannot take away what Josh Allen. And I think what we saw from Lamar in year 2, I may be wrong. You're right. That may not be, and he may get better. And as a passer right now, he's not great. We've all known that. To get mad about that would be stupid and wrong.
Right.
The fact that Baltimore has taken away from their play calling standpoint, not letting Lamar be Lamar, being the dual threat athlete that he's in the first 30 games of his career. We saw last night against the Browns. He doesn't bring teams back from behind because he doesn't need to. But the fact that he was able to do it last night is a great sign. This is a 1A, 1B. I think Baker will make this a 1C next year. I think we'll see success from him.
I think it's going to be ultimately it's going to be a much better quarterback class than
it's gonna. It looked great coming out.
Mm-hmm.
It struggled to keep that up with Darnold and Baker struggling in year 2 and 3, or at least in year 2. Josh Rosen is non-existent. Obviously, Mason Rudolph's pitch, and most people being wrong about Josh Allen. I should say wrong, but in terms of their rankings, of course, they're going to be wrong because they're raw prospects. Baker was more of a complete prospect. But this class should be better. And I think this conversation points to that this should be and look like a far stronger class.
And that's why we can debate that for that long, too. We could debate Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson.
We got a question, though.
All day. But we have a question that we have to answer
from a new
first.
guy. I haven't seen Andrew.
Andrew,
welcome to the show, buddy. Running back room is Nick Chubb, Jonathan Taylor, David Montgomery, and DeAndre Swift. The bench, one. Between Chubb, Taylor, Montgomery, and Swift.
All right, let me grab matchups here. Chubb is up against the Giants.
That is a good problem to have.
That's a great problem to have. So Chubb is up against the Giants. Taylor gets the Texans. That is a great matchup for Taylor. David Montgomery has the Vikings. And the Bears seem to have figured out their offensive line. And what was the other one?
DeAndre Swift against the Titans. I think it's Swift.
I think
it's
Swift.
Swift.
Yeah, I think the other three are very good matchups, and I think that from a volume perspective, I think it's Swift right now. I mean, Swift doesn't kill you, but I mean, touchdown saving too. A lot of his games have been saved by touchdown. So
yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Like, you're looking at potential touch volume. I know Chubb has to complete fun, but we know Cleveland's offense wants to run. Built around the run.
And we know Taylor has to compete with Hines, but they become a very, very good 1-2 punch. Very complimentary.
We're starting to see why Taylor was my RB1. David Montgomery is no competition. And while I think between the four running backs being, the given to us, he's my least favorite. But redraft is all about volume. And I think Swift has the lowest volume. Obviously, we could be wrong. You both have Kerryon Johnson and Adrian Peterson to compete with.
Well, and since Trubisky's taken over the last 3 weeks, Montgomery 103 yards, 72 and 2 touchdowns, 113 and 1, and involved in the receiving game, 40, 39, and 42 the last 3 weeks with 4 and 6 targets. He's been very, very good since Trubisky took back over, and it's against the Vikings. That's the big catch-all right there, too. It's against the Vikings without their best defender, who happens to be a middle linebacker. So
I'm going to have a little fun with this. Okay. I'm going to review my beer based around this question. The question was great. This question offered a lot of fun talking points to talk about, and there's no wrong answer. I mean, you can say Swift. If Swift blows up, you and I wouldn't be shocked by this. This beer, again, I'm drinking Shirley's Darkness. It's their BA Darkness. It's a variant. It's a rye barreled age with chocolate and vanilla beans. It is as advertised. The rye barrel does come out. Just clocks in at 12%. So you get a lot of the chocolate there. A hint of vanilla, which comes from the vanilla, not vanilla extract, which will stick out a lot more. This. It's one of my favorite. I love rye barrel, and the same way that I love this question, and I love all four parts of this question. I just love everything. One of my favorite barrel aged that I've had this year so far, and I figured this was a great, a comparison to fun things. Thank you for the question, Andrew.
Yep. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and go too, because first off, amber ales. I'm a big fan of ales. I'm a big fan of ales in general because I think that there's a lot you can do with them. I'm a big fan of the backbone that comes out of most styles of ales. If you drink them plain, I think they're very refreshing and have, especially as you get into darker ales, a lot of character without adjuncts being added to them. And they're also kind of flavor neutral to where they take adjuncts well as either complementary or standout flavors. This is no exception to that. Typically, when you think of amber ales, you think of a fall beer because a lot of that color is going to come from roasted malts, caramel malts, roasted barley to give it a little bit of red. And it's going to be toasty, and it's going to kind of be like fall, toasty and caramely. And what Goose Island did with this beer, you got a nice sweet backbone by adding in the vanilla. It doesn't jump out as this is vanilla. It's just a nice sweet backbone. Very complimentary. Dark chocolate cocoa nibs help to give it balance, even though they aren't a prominent flavor. And then the cinnamon and the ginger really jump out on this one. Not heavy, not overpowering, but give it a nice spice, which turns typically a fall beer into something that definitely drinks like a winter beer. It's got good spice. It's got good aroma to it. And it's very, very well balanced between the backbone of the amber up against the underlying sweetness of the vanilla and the spice that comes out on the front palate. It's very, very good. If you're in the St. Louis area and can still grab some, do it. It is only available in the St. Louis area, I believe. So
that's delicious.
It is very, very good. I'm pleasantly surprised. It's definitely something I could drink a 6-pack of, too. It's very drinkable. So.
Yeah, another question.
Oh, sweet. I love this.
Hearing, again, our tried and true, man. If there's one guy that's going to give us at least talking points, other than babbling on. Ertz or Hooper, center scoring, also picked up Logan Thomas.
Or pick up Logan Thomas or Cole Kmet.
Thomas or Kmet.
I have a question. Is Dan Arnold available?
I think I would still take Logan Thomas over those 5. Honestly, I don't think Ertz has, like, you can't give Ertz his respect.
No, he hasn't done anything. Logan Thomas has been
good.
Logan Thomas has been good.
Logan Thomas the last 5 weeks, I did 7.
He's had one bad game.
I tied in 6.
He's had one bad game since week 6.
So, I think the answer, I think you agree with me, Thomas here.
I think it's Logan Thomas as well, unless Dan Arnold's available. Talk to Nick about that one. No, I think it's Logan Thomas regardless. I joke about Dan Arnold because he's had 3 touchdowns over the last 2 weeks.
He says Dan Arnold is out there.
Nah, go with Logan Thomas. I kid. I joke because you were there, Darren. On the Sunday stream 2 weeks ago, Nick said that, your only auto bench tight end is like Dan Arnold, and then Dan Arnold went for 61 yards and 2 touchdowns. So,
and he scored last week.
And he scored last week,
all you want
too.
from your tight end is just no touchdown.
I joke. It's Logan Thomas. All right. Preview some games.
Yeah.
Do it. I got to find FanDuel before we do that, though. I don't remember.
I'm on there right now. So we'll start with
I'll let you do
Thursday night's games, Chargers, Raiders. Raiders 3.5-point favorites. Over-under is at 53. Money line 178, minus 178, plus 1.
Raiders haven't played well the last couple of games.
Raiders were always frauds. I think they're a good team. I don't think they're.
What's the spread again? 3.5?
3.5. It's in Las Vegas. That is.
I think I like the Chargers on the spread. I think I like them to cover 3.5.
Good bounce back game for Herbert. The Patriots. Every rookie quarterback had that off. I agree. I think beating 3.5 points. Want to get cute with the money line.
Holy hell! He completed 81% of his passes against Atlanta. Herbert. Yeah.
He's good and great. He's struggled the last.
Yeah, struggled the last 2 weeks, and I don't know if teams are starting to pick up on it or what, but
it's the addition of Austin Eckler and not let us push to Eckler come back. He got to his. I love Eckler. Why would you change what was?
Yeah, I don't know. Either way, you're starting Justin Herbert. Derek Carr is also a start this week, though, against Los Angeles. He's not been good. You've had some turnovers from Carr, but generally speaking, Los Angeles has not been great against the quarterback. Matt Ryan, kind of a dud. Other than that, everybody's been pretty serviceable against Los Angeles. So you are going with Derek Carr. We mentioned Nelson Aguilar as a potential start this week. That's purely based on the fact that Henry Ruggs is for sure going to not play. So that opens things up for Nelson Aguilar, especially to work deep. He's had 20 targets over the last 2 weeks. So they're trying to get him involved. Always touchdown upside there, too. He's a wide receiver 2/3 with upside. He's got flex value, basically, with some 2 upside. The Chargers, normal cast of characters. It's Eckler. You're staying away from Justin Jackson and Kalen Ballage, and Herbert, Keenan Allen.
Hunter Henry.
He's
a tight end down.
Didn't Henry get hurt?
If he's healthy.
Same thing with Mike Williams if he's healthy.
This one's pretty chalky.
Although Mike Williams has kind of fallen off a little bit the last couple weeks with the return of Eckler.
How about Josh Jacobs?
Yeah, I trust
Josh Jacobs.
I trust Josh
I
Jacobs.
guess you have to. Also,
yeah, I mean, basically it's this. Is Josh Jacobs below an RB2 against the Chargers defense that has, again, not been great?
Probably not. I think volume alone should get more or less. You just can't feel confident.
Fair.
You're gonna play him, but I think confidence level 10 points isn't a blow up game.
He's got two floor.
He's an RB2.
Yep.
What's up, Matthew? We're doing well. How you doing, bud?
Doing pretty good. All right, move on to the next one, and then I'm sure there's going to be a question there. Bills Broncos. So, oh wait, why am I leading this in? You got the betting stuff pulled up.
Yeah, I'll leave
Okay.
it.
I froze because I'm like, wait, I'm not looking at FanDuel.
That's fine. Bills Broncos. Bills favored by 7. Over under is 50 money line. I don't think it really matters. Bills a touchdown favorite.
I like the Bills as a touchdown favorite in this one.
Yeah. I don't like 7 points. For whatever reason. Maybe Drew Lock has a little bit of fun than we're. I like over 50. Especially as the Broncos get.
Okay.
7 points.
Okay. So as far as fantasy goes, first off, Bills defense is a streamer. You're against, you're against Drew Lock, so always potential for interceptions. Last week's his first interception this week since week 2. Playing against Carolina. So if they won that game, he was having fun. I don't expect him to win this one. Definitely interception potential there for Drew Lock. And, he's been pretty good about not taking sacks, but it's really the turnover potential by way of the pick that you're looking for there. As far as his cast of characters, how do we feel about Tim Patrick this week?
Is he going to be the one that draws Davius White, or is that going to be Judy?
Let me see how teams have been playing him.
No Noah Fant, probably again.
Yeah, which is a Troy Fumagalli thing, apparently.
Oh shit! Right, Matthew's got his question in. We're gonna jump to this.
Yeah, jump to that. Let me look into how they've been playing.
So Matthew wants us to pick 2 full point PP. David Montgomery, Wayne Gallman, Cam Akers, Zeke Wilson.
So pick 2: David Montgomery, Wayne Gallman, Cam Akers, Zeke, and Jeff Wilson.
Jeff Wilson. Not Russ.
No, Jeff Wilson.
Yeah.
All right, Cowboys have the Niners. Zeke has been bad.
I'm not playing.
Yeah, I'm not playing Zeke either, so that takes him out. So we're at Wilson, Gallman, Akers, Montgomery. I like Montgomery out of that bunch for reasons we mentioned earlier on. Vikings matchup been very, very good since Trubisky took back over as quarterback. Been involved in the receiving game as well as wrapped off 100-plus yard games 2 of the last 3 weeks. Giants have the Browns, which is a recipe for running backs to do things typically. So Gallman is not out of the running for me based on matchup. Rams have the Jets. That's good news for Cam Akers. And Niners have the Cowboys. You're still pending Raheem Mostert ankle results.
My answer is Montgomery and Cam. I think we can throw out Zeke and Will. Matchup plus unknown back. Gallman, you can make an argument for home against the Browns. Browns are fake. Giants are always better than. Zoom. Gallman should be on Lewis enough to get cared about. I just think what we saw last week with Akers is what we'll keep moving. I think once he's gotten healthy and once Sean McVay finally commits running back, we're going to see what we a far better run defense. Patriots carve that up. And if you think that the Rams are going to blow up the Jets, which we all do, minus 17 is right there. Akers should get a lot more run, not be game.
Yeah, and I'm not going to make the Gallman argument because while you could, I do think that this is Cam Akers, especially in PPR.
Yeah, and like it's again it's a decent problem to have. Obviously, Zeke hasn't been one, but you have viable backups, viable others. And Sally back press.
Sure.
Montgomery Akers, I think that's
the way you're going. Yep, it is. It's game script is the tiebreaker from between Akers and Gallman.
Right. Moving back, do you need to touch anything more about Buffalo?
Yeah, we do. We hardly talked about it. We were on
about fantasy, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we were looking at Tim Patrick's matchups, and Miami played Byron Jones on him, but I don't remember Xavier Howard's shadows.
I mean, you can't. I mean, it's tough to look at Miami because they have two defensive backs.
Byron Jones
and Jones. I mean, I still think Tim Patrick's on. I get it if you don't want to play the fear.
It's about
Davius White, but
it's about 50-50. But it looks like Tim Patrick is drawing top coverage more often than not. Not Jerry Jeudy. So, yeah, Tim Patrick will get Tre'Davious White. He's still all right. Flex value, if you have better options, go for it. Jerry Jeudy's hard for me to sign off on just kind of in general, given the target volume hasn't been there. Especially the last 2 weeks. So I don't love anything there. Melvin Gordon's dealing with a shoulder injury, so you're going to keep an eye on that. Although Pittsburgh really struggled to run the ball against Buffalo. So, yeah. As far as Buffalo goes, Josh Allen, you're fine with. Devin Singletary, Zach Moss, play them as you normally would. Kind of game script neutral. More Singletary than Moss, though, for flex reasons. And Stephon Diggs. As far as the other two, John Brown's game to Gabe Davis, just tune in on Sunday for whether John Brown goes or not.
I agree.
All right.
Moving on. Green Bay, Carolina at Green Bay. Green Bay is 8.5-point favorites. Over under is 51.5. Again, would be like I still like Green Bay.
Yeah, I like Green Bay at 8.5. I also don't hit the over.
Just depends. No, I don't think it depends. I think
the over is good.
Good call.
Mike Davis for sure. And then DJ Moore, I think, over Robbie Anderson. I think Robbie Anderson's going to get Jair Alexander.
Moore is supposed to be back. Or should take away. Tough to trust Moore. From it, but Mike Davis. Rodgers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Simple.
Yep. All right. Moving on.
Bears Vikings in Minnesota. Vikings are 3.5-point favorites. Over under is 46.5. Money lines. Bears plus 1. Vikings
are 3.5-point favorites.
It's in Minnesota. Minnesota won last time out in Chicago.
I was with
Obviously,
Nick Foles.
The Bears are playing better. This is tough because I think both teams are playing better. Minnesota, I think,
Yeah,
better than what the
Bears
score
didn't
suggested.
see last matchup. No Akeem Hicks and Nick Foles under center. New quarterback. Offense is moving better. You will have Akeem Hicks, which makes all the difference to the run game. I don't know that I want to play this one, honestly.
Sure.
It's just close. Yeah, I want to say Bears, but I feel like that could be a little homer pick, so I'll abstain.
I mean, it's not a true homer pick. The Bears have looked good
Lately,
both
yeah.
teams are still vying for a playoff spot, which obviously should play into hand. I think this game is going to play close. I think
game's going to be
maybe
fun.
not going Bears money line, but Bears plus 3.5.
Yeah, Bears plus 3.5 is where I would go. Yeah,
this should be more of that field goal type of field. I go Bears in the point.
Sure, and I
like the money. I do like the over under.
I do like the over under too. It's like 40 something. You said
46.5.
Yeah, I know. I think this is going over. That being said, Bears defense has been softer here as of late, for lack of a better term. And the offense played really well. They didn't look soft against Deshaun Watson, but
also Watson.
And the fact that they just had nobody. They were so depleted.
They were also blowing them out
early on.
You're gonna play softer.
Yep.
When you have a lead.
Yep. I mean, that game against the Vikings, though, they got pretty shredded. So, yeah, that being said, Cook and Montgomery are obviously both starts. Trubisky is a very good stream. It's QB9 since he took back over. So, if he's not picked up, you need some upside for a championship game. Mitch Trubisky's your guy. Allen Robinson for sure in this one. And then I think that you're not benching. There's no way you're benching Justin Jefferson. And Adam Thielen.
They're playing both receivers.
Yeah, and Adam Thielen has touchdown upside. You're back to the days of Diggs and Thielen. You start them. Diggs and Jefferson and Thielen, you start them.
Like you may have to eat a low game between one of them, but it's hard to sit given the potential of scoring in this because this game should be close. Again, that's why I like at 46.5. I expect both offenses. I won't say move the ball effectively, especially with Akeem Hicks. I think they're running successful for the Vikings, but you have to look at how close this game play. Both teams are fighting for a playoff. Matthew, second question: Justin Herbert, Sean Watson. Houston's playing the Colts.
It's Herbert.
On the road.
It's Herbert.
Yeah, it's Herbert. I love Herbert bounce back game. Even if he doesn't have Mike Williams, so it's Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler back, Hunter Henry.
I just think the floor is for sure there. I mean, Texans are so depleted right now.
I do like Watson. He's going to get cooked back. But, the spread at -7 should suggest that shootout or there's some garbage time potentially in this, and Watson does have some rushing for him. I'm still going to go with Herbert.
I'm going with Herbert. Let's see. They played yet this year? They should have played yet. They did. No touchdowns, one pick, 341 yards for Watson last time out. One rushing touchdown against the Colts. So, yeah, I'm going Herbert in this one. Let me check one other thing on Herbert real quick.
Sure.
Because they have the Raiders, and they should have played here too. This one, earlier season matchups are a good gauge when you have these divisional matchups as to how things are going to go, or especially if you know what went wrong, what's going to be taken away. So I just want to double check Herbert against Vegas from earlier in the year, and yeah, he was over 300 with 2 touchdowns. It's Herbert.
He didn't have Eckler in that game. I think the offense slightly changed. To be like we haven't seen the vertical game that Herbert has shown when Eckler has been back, but that may also maybe considered or have a coincide with potential loss of Mike Williams. So again,
Herbert's floor is almost Watson's upside right now, though.
True. We'll go back there. Bears, Vikings. Trubisky, Montgomery, Robinson. I think Moody has some flex appeal to it, and Cole Kmet is actually taking more snaps routes run than Jimmy Graham, so he's got super deep league value for tight end.
Cole Kmet has tight end floor value.
Yeah.
Jimmy Graham's still getting red zone work, but Cole Kmet's getting between the 20s right now. And then Kirk Cousins is streamable in 3 of his last 4. So
he's good. I don't have to trust Cousins in this, but
actually 5 of his last 6.
He's the offense. I mean, it's the Vikings team has played out exactly what I expected. Bad defense, offense. Obviously, Cousins streamable. You're not benching Dalvin Cook. Just expect a lower game. You had a tough matchup last week. So not benching Thielen or Jefferson. Just expect maybe one of them may go up. Irv Smith, if Rudolph doesn't play, still has, again, like Cole Kmet, has tight end floor. Boom. Moving on. Lions, Texans with Matthew Stafford's a big question mark. There is no over-under right now. I'm not sorry. Lions, Titans. I'm sorry. Lions, Titans. Titans are 10.5-point favorites at home. No over-under again because of Matthew Stafford. Questionable.
I've got a 10.5 is tough for me. Just double-digit spreads are tough for me, like touchdown spreads are for you.
And then Titans have kind of played down to their opponent.
Yeah, it's Titans in a money line parlay if I'm doing it. I think they win. Just fantasy is a lot more chalk here for me.
Easily chalk. Swift, I think you can play. Hawk, you're playing. Marvin Jones and Ballard is out. Yes.
He has some floor, but with a backup quarterback, it's questionable how good that floor is going to be.
If no Stafford, I wouldn't play receivers.
But we're talking Swift.
And then Titans, obviously. Tannehill, Henry, Brown, and Davis. Gadu, again, because Titans are the bad. It's an untrusted, position.
It's an untrusted position, although Jonnu has fallen off over the last couple weeks. So if you do have a Logan Thomas out there on waivers or something, I don't think this is going to be a big game for Jonnu Smith, and you may look.
Here's a question:
elsewhere.
Dan, are you playing Dan Arnold or Jonnu Smith?
Yikes!
Right?
Right now it might be Dan Arnold.
It might be Dan Arnold. Yeah.
Arizona's got the Eagles.
Want to go with it? Yeah,
it's probably. I think it's Jonnu Smith. Actually, hold on. Let me check how those teams are against tight ends, shall we?
Sure.
Led to tight ends. What did I say? It was Eagles.
Cardinals, right?
Well, Dan Arnold's on the Cardinals. He has the Eagles. The Eagles are giving up 9th most points to tight ends. Who does Logan Thomas have? Who's Washington got? Seattle?
Seattle
19th. So
the difference isn't much. 3 points.
Well, that just reaffirms to me that it's Logan Thomas. Or not. Wait.
It's Dan Arnold?
Dan Arnold, sorry. It's Dan Arnold is what that reaffirms to me. Wait. I totally screwed that up. Didn't I? I need to look at the Lions. I was talking about Logan Thomas again.
Lions are even better against tight, or even worse against tight. 27th.
Yeah, Lions.
22nd.
22nd. They're only giving up 7 points a game.
They're giving up 10.3.
I'm looking at FF today. We might be looking at different scoring.
We are.
What do you have? What?
10.38.
I've got 7.0 that they're giving up per game. What do you show?
I wonder if there's just more standard score.
Well, here,
this
let me.
One looks to be PPR.
Flip over to ESPN type scoring. I have different scoring options on this site. The Lions.
So based on this, you're still playing probably Dan Arnold.
Yeah, Dan Arnold's a better matchup.
At least 3
What do you have?
points, if not more.
What do you show the Eagles at? I got them at 8.8 a game.
Eagles, I have at 14.02.
Okay, so it's Dan Arnold. That was a lot of talking to get to the fact that it's Dan Arnold.
Jesus Christ. Old school. All right, we're moving on. We're moving on here. Houston Texans versus the Colts. Colts are 7-point favorites at home. Over/under is at 51. It's hard to trust. We've seen multiple different Colts teams. We've seen multiple different Texans teams. Brandon Cooks back.
Brandon Cooks doesn't make enough of a difference for the Texans for me to not go for the Colts here.
But Houston's always a better team than what their record suggests. Watson will always, for the most part, try to keep this team in contention.
Well, I mean, most quarterbacks will try that. It just hasn't gone so well this year.
That's fair. I think Watson's talented enough to actually do it. At least maybe not every single week because it's still Houston, but 7 points is still a lot of points. I like the over here, 51. I do like the Colts defense. And Cooks being back does affect. It could be.
Okay.
How do you? I don't know.
All right. I'm still on the Colts. I don't remember what the spreads were or anything, but Colts.
It's at -7.
-7
points.
Okay.
A touchdown and an extra point.
I don't like the spread. Colts money line. Because as soon as I say it's
parlay. Money line
parlay, exactly.
Yeah.
As far as the Colts go, they've been tough to figure out though, as far as the receiving game goes. T.Y. Hilton the last couple weeks has been very good. He's going up, and it's kind of taken away a little bit from Michael Pittman. But I think whatever was last 3 weeks, T.Y. Hilton's been on a tear, and I think that you have to ride that out, especially against a bad Texans pass defense. So I think you're starting T.Y. Hilton.
I think he's starting both. I think both have flex value plus playing
I think Pittman,
Jonathan Taylor because I trust his offense to continue to run Taylor. Had fun predicting the tight ends. Have fun trying to trust Phillip Rivers. I don't think Hines should be trusted. I hope that Texans are going to be close enough for Hines to be effective. And as for Houston's side, I think you're still playing Watson again if you want to.
Yeah, there's rushing. There's enough floor to play Watson in most situations, even though it's not a great matchup. You're staying away from the running game for Houston.
Yep.
Brandon Cooks, yes, you're playing him. He's going to get enough volume. He's a 2. T.Y. Hilton, I think, is a high-end 2, given the way he's performed. Pittman's nothing more than a flex play this week, given how things have went for him with T.Y. Hilton's breakout. Rivers isn't supporting 2 receivers.
Darren, another question. Super flex spot. Phillip Rivers, Ben Roethlisberger, Big Dick Mitch. I think we both. Trubisky.
I think it's Mitch. Tua's got the Patriots. Rookie quarterbacks against the Patriots don't do well. Not playing Tua. Ben has been struggling, using a lot more dink and dunk to get around. The lack of a running game. Even though
are playing
the Bengals, even though they do play the Bengals, I think that the game script for the Bears-Viking games lends a lot more to Mitch Trubisky than it does Ben Roethlisberger's game script against the Bengals and Brandon Allen.
Yeah, I'm playing Trubisky.
And then
I think Ben does get a bit of a nod because of how bad the Bengals are in defense.
As far as Rivers goes,
it's a good matchup, just like with Big Ben, but I think we like Trubisky. The game should always be close. Bears and Vikings will keep Trubisky throwing consistently.
Yeah,
and if you think the Vikings do have a chance, like there is a chance that the Bears are playing more.
And Rivers really only has one blow-up game. Everything else has kind of been flex value type play.
I'm not playing fucking Phillip Rivers.
I'm not either.
I don't care. Don't care.
Yeah, it's Trubisky.
All right. So Trubisky for us again. Anything on Texans Colts?
Not that I haven't already
Further up
said.
line.
I agree with the running back
Perfect.
takes. It's Jonathan Taylor. I'm not going with Naeem Hines, and then it's definitely T.Y. Hilton over Michael Pittman.
Right. Moving on. Jacksonville at Baltimore. Baltimore 13.5-point favorites. Over under at 47.5. Baltimore 2 touchdowns. Do you really trust Baltimore to win by 14?
No, I don't like double-digit spreads.
I Minshew's back may provide a spark. Just saying quotes here. Baltimore. I think the team looked better than they've looked the past 5 weeks. I wouldn't be shocked if Baltimore wins by more than 14 points. I just don't not bet the spread. 47.5, I think, is a really good. And I don't trust this. I don't trust them to heat. I think betting wise, I'm avoiding this game. Money line Ravens are minus 770. I don't think it's good enough to throw into a parlay. I mean, it should be a guaranteed win with very low payoff and doesn't value. I'm staying away from this.
Yeah, in terms of betting, I would like to as well. As far as other things go, it's Gus Edwards for the Ravens in the running game. He's been the lead back.
Him and Dobbins.
J.K. Dobbins as well. Both are RB2s. As far
Dobbins did outsnap him 62-27. So while Gus Edwards got the touchdowns, Dobbins is the one with the more. Mark Ingram is fucking dead though. He got one snap last night.
Mark Ingram's dead. I don't trust anything in the Ravens passing game. As far as
I'll play Mandrews because I did.
As far as the Jaguars go,
James Robinson.
Yeah, it's James Robinson.
That's it. I won't even play Chark. This is a really good secondary. And with Minshew back, which is great, but Minshew loves to spread the football around. And you're now trying to pick between Keelan Cole, D.D. Westbrook.
No, not D.D. Westbrook. Let's get Chenault.
Or I'm sorry, yeah. Chenault, Keelan Cole, DJ Chark.
I don't know that
Chark
I've said D.D. Westbrook's name this year.
I know it's weird. I think you're just benching all Jaguars receivers the rest of the season. James Robinson, just because of volume alone. I think this game is pretty.
Yep.
Anything else? No. Moving on. Patriots at Miami. Miami is only 2.5-point favorites. Over-under is at 41.5. Aggressive over-under. Aggressive spread for... I think a bit of an aggressive spread. It's a little bit of a disrespect for what Miami's showing, but a lot of injuries, and that's not a lot of injuries on Miami. Obviously, we know about the rookie curse against the Patriots, 45-0. They up on in LA too. How do we feel about this game?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I do think I like the Dolphins' points to find a way to do it. Their defense has been very, very good. New England's offense has been stagnant. The thing with Miami is that if we're going to pull this one out, it's going to have to be one of Brian Flores' best coaching jobs probably ever. A lot of it's going to depend on what's the status of Devontae Parker. We know Gesicki's fine, but it's going to be what's the status of Devontae Parker, and does Salvin Ahmed come back from the shoulder injury? Does Myles Gaskin pop off the COVID list? This is a game that, as we sit here right now, is very hard to project for fantasy, particularly for the Dolphins, because we don't know who's going to be available. It's going to be something we have to revisit on Sunday, but on the surface, I like the Dolphins spread.
If you're betting this game, you're betting low amounts. I would actually go New England and just put a small amount on the money line. If you like the Dolphins, which you do, I would bet this now. Is if they get one of their two guys in the running back field, whether Ahmed or Gaskin comes back, that spread increases. You want to get in under the points with this.
Yep.
I don't want to bet anything. The over under screams take the over.
Yeah.
At 41.5, because I think both offenses are good enough to score 22 points.
Do we grab?
I don't like it either.
Do we grab anything in fantasy here? I don't really like anything in fantasy here outside of Mike Gesicki.
Gesicki.
What if there's a Dolphins running back healthy? Tune in Sunday. We'll give you the take.
Yeah,
but
we'll find out. As for the Patriots, I'm not playing Cam. Both Damian Harris and Jacoby Myers have seen their fire kind of cool down. Harris has almost no touchdown upside because of fucking Cam. Myers has seen his full being Nikhil Harry. So,
which
I agree,
and they're still not getting enough volume to do anything. So
I would avoid this game outside of Gesicki.
Yeah, outside
honestly,
of Gesicki, I don't
there's
want to
no
touch this
touchdown
game.
upside here for anybody.
Not even Tua.
Yeah, so just avoid. I would avoid this game for fantasy and flex plays if you can. Moving on, Dallas Niners. Niners at Dallas here. They're minus 3-point favorites on the road. Over-under is at 45.5. Money line minus 158 for Niners, plus 130.
I like the Niners. I like the Niners on the spread. I don't trust Dallas to do things.
I mean, they were able to compete against Pittsburgh, right? That was right, I think, when people were starting to get more concerned about them as a team. I just don't. I think both of these teams are very good. I think both of these teams are trying to find a way to just let the season
die
ineffective, and I think trying to predict who wins this game, trying to predict how the spread's going to go. I'm just avoiding. Niners have a good defense, so it's hard to trust over. It's hard to trust Dallas is going to score enough points to push this over. To maybe take the under 45.5, but I think betting wise, I'm off this game.
Yeah, I think I am too. CeeDee Lamb, since that got hurt, has been pretty touchdown dependent. He hasn't. There's been some target volume there, but he's been pretty touchdown dependent. You're fine with Amari Cooper's got touchdown in 3 straight games. I think you're fine with Amari Cooper.
You're playing Cooper.
So
yeah, you're playing Cooper.
You're playing Cooper. Yeah, I don't want Michael Gallup. I don't want Dalton Schultz. I don't want Zeke. You're playing Amari Cooper, and I don't know that I'm playing anybody else from Dallas. I want to steer away from CeeDee Lamb if I can.
I'm staying away. I mean, this is kind of like the game before, right? There's maybe one player. And do we really want to trust? If Mostert's healthy, then sure, play Mostert. I guess if it's not, then you try to trust Jeff Wilson. But
it's Jeff Wilson if it's not Mostert, and other than that, it's Brandon Ayuk, I think, who's just going to get most of the receiving work, and that's it.
Yeah, I agree with you there. So Ayuk, whatever, healthy running back in the Niners, and those are your fantasy plays from this game. Moving on, Seattle and Washington football team. Seattle's favored by 5.5 points on the road. Over-under is at 44.5. The low over-under. Washington's got a good defense. Seattle, obviously, great offense that tends to kind of sputter from time to time here. So I think 5.5 points is aggressive. Seattle, again, kind of downplays their opponent more so. It's hard to see them blow out a team. 6 points is a lot of points when it comes, especially the pros. So I think Washington plays is tough. They're in the lead into the division. I think 5.5 points. I think getting 5.5 points is better than trying to bet the money line. I think Seattle does win.
I think they play it tough too, and I think that part of that reason is their pass rush and how good Chase Young and Montez Sweat have been. They've been so good. The front seven's been very, very good, and we've seen Russell Wilson struggle a bit this year. When you can get pressure on him, part of that is that to get DK Metcalf going, you have to be able to work DK Metcalf downfield. DK Metcalf ain't working intermediate routes. Nope. You got to be able to work DK Metcalf downfield. We've seen Tyler Lockett kind of, for whatever reason, the offense has gone a bit away from him. And kind of a bit away from the running game too. So, I'm okay with Chris Carson as an RB2. Obviously, you're not sitting DK Metcalf, but from a betting perspective, I like Washington on the spread. I think this game's closer than people think it's going to be on paper because of Washington's pass rush and the way things match up.
Now, there's one thing you have to keep in mind, and that's Alex Smith's health.
You have to watch the calf injury, because if it's Haskins, this game is dead.
I think that's why the spread looks so off right now. If Smith plays, I'm taking Washington. Haskins play, taking Seattle in the over.
Sure.
I think Haskins does provide a little more of their vertical passing game. McLaurin, Logan Thomas, Smith is more that game manager.
Well, the question right now, Terry McLaurin, is, we touted him as quarterback
I think
proof.
Gibson too. We even talk about Gibson.
Yeah,
he
Gibson's got turf toe. You got to pay attention to that too. So
yeah,
you're fine with Gibson if he plays. You're starting Gibson as an RB2. Terry McLaurin, it's a good matchup for him. Go ahead and start him. I know he's not been great the last 2 weeks. He should be a wide receiver too. We touted him as being quarterback proof. He was great throughout the first 12 weeks. The last 2 weeks against Pittsburgh and San Francisco, falling off a little bit. Those are very tough matchups.
He's still quarterback proof. Smith just likes to. He just has to survive.
And again,
we saw that with the Chiefs from way back in the day.
And again, really, really tough matchups against Pittsburgh and San Francisco.
Yeah.
So,
all right, moving on. Bucks, Falcons. Bucks on the road, 6-point favorites. Over under 50.5. The very juicy over under. I think Matt Ryan has looked both good and bad throughout the past few weeks, so that's why it's where it's at.
Falcons' offense is different with Julio Jones around.
Jones back. I think if you think this game goes over, if you think Jones is back, Matt Ryan plays better than he's played recently, you hammer the over right now.
Yeah.
As soon as word comes out that Jones is back and healthy, I think this over-under shoots up at least 2.
Yeah, hammer the over, and if it has a pulse, I think you start it, and this one is kind of where we're at. We talked about Godwin's floor. He does still have floor, even though the upside's been capped. Calvin Ridley's been very, very good all season. Julio Jones is good. Gurley's got touchdown upside. Ronald Jones, though, not going to play, most likely with a broken finger. So
yep.
You're going to have to keep an eye on...
You're not playing a running back in the Bucs back.
You can make an argument. You can make an argument for playing Leonard Fournette because I think he's going to get the volume. Yes, Shady McCoy.
Fournette was just a healthy scratch for Shady.
Shady McCoy's 90,
and yet he was not. And yet he was the backup.
He carried one time for 3 yards.
I'm just saying, Fournette was a healthy scratch.
One receiving. He carried 4 times for 32 yards.
The answer is Keyshawn Vaughn, right? The answer is going to be the RB3 that blows up.
Yeah,
I'm not trusting.
If it's Keyshawn Vaughn, I'm going to just have a party on this show.
I know, no shit. Been due for us for Vaughn. Vaughn's the one last truth or running. Not trusting the Bucs running backs either way. It's the semifinals. You really want to fucking tempt fate? No. Honestly, Bucs receivers should, you're playing all 3. I will throw Brown in there. All 3 of these receivers has somewhat of a floor.
I'm just saying, if you're in running back purgatory, first off, you're probably not in the playoffs.
You're probably not in the playoffs.
Yeah, but
but if you are, for whatever reason.
If you are, for whatever reason, and trying to avoid a shitter cup or something, Leonard Fournette.
Gosh. Okay. I'm done with this. All right, anyways. Jets, Rams at home. 17-point favorites. Over under 43.5. Spread. Again, just throw a low amount. Throw $5 in the Jets money line for fuck's sake.
Yeah, it's 17.5.
Don't bet the spread. Don't bet the money line.
Yeah. Or don't bet the over under.
It's again.
Depends. Are the Rams going to put up 40? Because that's the only way you're happy with it.
I think this is a aggressively low point total. I mean, this screams to take the over. They should have Darnold. Mims should be back. I don't care who runs the football. This doesn't fucking matter. I think the Jets will score just enough points to push this game to 44.
Been okay, but what you have to try to decide was the offensive line play for the Jets last week against.
They didn't score 2.
They scored one field goal.
Touchdown. The Rams are going to put up 38. 5 touchdowns and a field goal.
Okay, but they just played Seattle and put up 3 points.
Yeah, you're right.
But
Seattle's defense is
they played Miami and put up 3 points.
I know, but it's one fluke. Rams are up 28-0. They're playing soft coverage. Rashad Perriman actually catches a football, scores on a 50-yard throw.
You know what? The Jets are on the every.
I don't love it.
The Jets are on the every other week program. Check this shit out. Check this out. I just went back to week 8.
Okay.
They put up 9 points against the Chiefs.
Okay.
Week 9, they put up 27 against the Patriots.
So odd weeks, they blow up?
Yeah, week 10, they were on bye.
Okay.
So that's your odd week. They didn't do anything. Week 11, 28 against the Chargers.
Okay.
Week 12, 3 against Miami. Week 13, 28 against the Raiders. 14, 3 against the Seahawks. Take the over. Jets are putting up 20. Jets are putting up 23.
Hashtag logic.
That's the logic we're going for here.
As for fantasy, men's back should kind of, I think, almost hurt the pass. I think, do you want to play Jets in the semifinals? Because I don't. I'm not playing Ty Johnson. I'm not playing Frank Gore.
I only want to play the Jets if I have to.
Yes.
And the have to is Denzel Mims. That's the if I have to is Denzel Mims, and hopefully you don't have to.
I'm throwing Perriman out there for just a big play. Just one big play. I'm not trusting anything. Otherwise, the Rams. Talked about Goff. I think you can do better than Goff. You don't trust that this game is going to be game script proof. Rams want to run the football if they can. We love Cam Akers. I think we're still playing both Cup and Woods. They both present decent floors.
Yeah.
With touch on the way that the Rams actually get the game script proof for Akers is by scoring points. So one of these receivers. Don't play the tight ends because you can't trust Bill, Higbee, and Everett. Shock. Move on. Eagles at the Cardinals. Cardinals are 6.5-point favorites. Over-unders at 49.5. I like feeling the spread. I think Hurts keeps this game close again.
I also think Hurts keeps this game close, and I think watching him and Kyler Murray duel it out is going to be pretty fun.
Yeah, I agree.
No, I think Hurts keeps this game close. I'm with you.
I would actually throw a little bit of money on the Eagles' money line. I think the Cardinals have, since Murray has injured his shoulder, does not look quite the same.
No, and Philly's defense has actually been okay most of the season. It's just the offense has been such a dumpster fire. It's like, oh, bad team. Yeah. But their defense hasn't been the worst. So, Jalen Hurts is streamable. He put up 100 yards on the ground. Cardinals are pretty game script neutral.
I think Hurts is a
yeah, so
no matter what.
Hurts and Murray are playing. Miles Sanders got it going a bit without, with them having to worry about Hurts in the running game too. But he got it going. I think that Hurts is opening this up, kind of in the same way Trubisky did coming in for the Bears, and that bodes well for Miles Sanders. Kenyon Drake, since his slow start, has been pretty good.
Drake, Sanders. I'm not playing any Philly receivers. Hopkins, Kurt is mere flex play. If that.
Kenyon Drake has touchdowns in 4 straight weeks.
I said Drake and Sanders playing.
I know. I was just making an observation. I wasn't arguing. I was just saying he's got touchdowns in 4 straight weeks.
Turned it off so slow.
He did.
Tight ends, I think Goddard and I think Dan Arnold. I think Dan Arnold's played its way. Despite Nick's best abilities to swear him off, Dan Arnold has gained streamer status.
And Dan Arnold's
streamer status.
Dan Arnold's got touchdown upside.
Dan Arnold touchdown upside.
Yeah.
He scored 3 touchdowns in 2 weeks.
Indeed.
Chiefs Saints. Chiefs are 3-point favorites on the road. 51.5.
I like the Chiefs, but Breeze will be back.
See?
Maybe.
I think Taysom Hill plays this game.
If Taysom Hill plays this game, I like the Chiefs. I like the Chiefs.
I
anyway.
like Chiefs to cover 3. I don't trust the over/under.
New Orleans offense.
Taysom Hill.
New Orleans offense hasn't been explosive enough for me to think that they can keep up with the Chiefs.
Kamara's finally been relatively consistent.
Yeah.
These past couple games. Michael Thomas should have floor.
Yeah.
Some touchdown upside. Jared Cook, a touchdown last week. Chiefs will push game to be more throw friendly. I actually don't trust Taysom Hill. The Chiefs if the Chiefs get up big early, I don't trust Hill at all. And that's going to hurt the overall upside of this offense.
I mean,
I may take the under here.
Hill's been okay.
Yes.
Having to throw close to 40 times the last 2 weeks. I mean, let's put it this way. It's not been phenomenal. It's been better than we thought it would be.
True. That's
so,
fair. I'll give you that.
With the rushing floor is still streamable, but I think the rushing floor hasn't been quite what people thought it would be either.
I mean, it's tough because we've only seen so minimal of Hill, and we got kind of spoiled for like 4 touchdowns.
Yeah,
and I think teams have quickly adjusted to what Saints are with Taysom. I think we're going to see that in this game. The Chiefs have a lot of speed, a lot of great pass rushers. They're healthy, very, very aggressive defense. Like, not a great pass. He's good enough, but not.
Yeah, there's still yardage for there, but
yeah, there might be some big plays.
I think
it's going to be a fun game to watch.
Hill will be a quarterback one. It'll be back end, I think.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because of the rushing floor, Hill's going to be a quarterback one. It's just going to be in that 8 to 12 range, I think. Chiefs are chalk. We don't have to talk about the Chiefs. We know what the Chiefs are going to do.
We know all these teams.
Yeah.
Moving on. Browns, Giants, Sunday Night Football. Both teams are oddly competitive for a playoff spot for different reasons. Browns are 4.5-point favorites in New York. 45.5 points. Can the Browns bounce back in a tough defeat, or can the Giants actually find a way to reach a shit crown in the division?
Nah, Washington's winning that division, I think. As far as the Giants go, we'll have to wait and see on Daniel Jones. They benched him halfway through because the hamstring still wasn't quite right. Look, this is a game that I think the Browns are gonna win, and I think that they're gonna win it through Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. I don't think that Baker's gonna have to throw a ton. I think it's gonna be more take care of the football, game manager Baker, 250 yards, maybe 2 touchdowns, kind of also in that streamer echelon to where it's not a huge game. It's Chubb, it's Kareem Hunt. Yes, you're playing Landry, but I don't think that you can expect a big blow-up game out of Baker. And as far as the Giants go, outside of Wayne Gallman, I don't know that I love anything there.
What about Rashard Higgins?
It's tough because the Giants have good corners, right?
So hold on, we gotta pivot from this game. Kyle from the Headliners has jumped into the chat, loving the sock and hats. He jumped in. He loves the fact that he jumped in during the Baker conversation.
Okay.
Giants have a good defense. Great. I
They've
think
got good corners.
They have a good pass rush. They have great secondary. James Bradbury, Jabril Peppers, Baker have been inconsistent, but he's played his ass off the last 2 games. Rashard Higgins has stepped up in the absence of Odell the last few weeks.
Yeah, but I think what it comes down to is this. Those last 2 weeks, you had a 41-35 game and a 42-47 game.
I know.
Do you see this game going over 70, 80 points?
No.
Okay.
It depends how the points come. I do agree with you that this is if the Browns should win this game on the backs of the running game. But the Browns have also been more aggressive to start the game. They're not just running the football to start the game. It's Baker on rollouts. They want to get him in rhythm early on. And that bodes well for some floor-wise for Higgins. I mean, not touchdown upside. The same way for Landry. They want to get creative. They want to get aggressive early.
Let me put it to you in a different way.
Okay.
Rashad Higgins has had 3 fantasy viable games this season.
All in the last 3 games?
No, one of them was back in week 7.
That's right.
He's had 3 fantasy viable games this season. And has had over 5 targets just 3 times. Are you baking your semifinals on a guy that's seen more than 5 targets just 3 times and has had 3 fantasy relevant games all season against a team that we know has a good pass rush and solid cornerbacks?
He's had 19 targets last 2 games. He had 10 last week on Monday night and 9 against Tennessee.
Again,
6 catches. 12 catches the last 2
89
games.
points last week and 76 the week before.
I'm not saying to trust Higgins. I'm saying Higgins is not going to draw James Bradbury. It's going to be Jarvis Landry.
No, he's going to draw Logan Ryan.
You're right. Both have. Fair enough. Logan Ryan's actually found his resurgence in New York. Wasn't great in Tennessee.
Okay, in Tennessee too, but
Higgins, he was.
Yeah.
But Higgins has seen target volume this offense, and an offense that's a bit more aggressive. I know Tennessee and Baltimore are both better offenses than what the Giants are.
It's game script too. He's seen target volume in games that scored over 75 points.
He only ran 29 routes against Tennessee. He had 9 targets. It wasn't even like in that game the Browns blew out the Titans. Still saw 9 targets. So, like, even in the game script game where it was more skewed towards the running game, what should have been when they were up by 14, 17 points, still had 9 targets, 6 catches, 95 yards, and a touchdown. So, I'm not saying that you have to be excited to play Higgins. I'm saying that there is some upside to him. He has found his wide receiver 2 role on the outside in this offense.
As long as the game's more than 76 points.
I mean, but the Browns again were ahead for most of that game against Tennessee.
Until the fourth quarter when Tennessee mounted a legitimate comeback.
He still had 9 targets.
I don't know.
Sure, I don't know when they happened.
I don't know when they happened either. That's what I was going to say. I don't know.
He still scored a touchdown.
I don't know when they happened, but they happened.
All right. We've argued enough about fucking Rashad Higgins. We've drank probably way too much.
No, I've only had one. I need more,
right,
but
that's fair. I mean, I'm also drinking, dry barrel age. Giants. Who besides Gallman? Do we trust Gallman this week? Do we trust anybody from this offense?
I trust Gallman this week. The Browns' defense, as I just mentioned, has not been fantastic. So I trust Gallman. I don't know. You want to make an argument for Golden Shepherd too? Since long as we're arguing for mediocre
Golden Shepherd Tate. No, I'm sorry. Tate, Shepard, Slayton. Wait, no.
You just said all 3 of their last names. Yeah,
it's good. Hey, we have to throw Slayton in there too. So no, we're not trusting all 3. I don't care about Evan Ingram.
I'm not
Wayne Gallman's the only guy.
Yeah, I'm not trusting any of the 3.
All right, last game, and then we'll get the fuck out of here. Steelers at Cincinnati. Steelers are 12.5-point favorites. The over-under is at 40.5. It's an aggressive number. The Steelers' offense hasn't been great. It's been serviceable. Deontay Johnson, we know about his drop issues. The base point here is that can Pittsburgh score enough points and hold Cincinnati to enough points to cover? I don't like double-digit point spreads here.
Well, it depends. What's the point spread? Sorry, I was getting bourbon.
I know, I saw you. 12.5 on the road. I think Pittsburgh bounces back. They've lost 2 straight here. 2 tough matchups against the Bills and the football team. I think they come out and they kind of lay hammer Monday night on primetime again. You're drinking bourbon now.
That is interesting, but I don't know what it is. So it's an advent calendar sample, so it's blind. Okay. I'll look up what it is before we hop off the air. Give a review on it before we hop off the air. Okay. But I don't know what it is right now. So
looks tasty.
It smells like it's wine barrel finish. A lot
Angels envy?
a lot of bright red. Well, no. Well, it could be, but higher proof, thicker and higher proof than Angels envy. But it's
Is it rye then?
no,
Isn't it rye more? Is it rye higher than? I don't know.
no, it's not. It's spicier. It's not higher.
Oh,
proof.
is it Basil Hayden's rum cask?
$70 minimum. I don't think so. I'll let you know what it is.
Ooh, okay. Anyways, as for football here, I'll take Pittsburgh on the spread if I'm betting the spread. I'm staying away from the over/under. It's at 40.5. You're basically relying on Cincinnati to score probably 17 points to push this over. I think Pittsburgh could score enough. I don't think they'll need to. They'll try to just get healthy and get through the game. As for fantasy wise, I think you can stream Big Ben. If this game's going to be a blowout, they got to score points to get to that point. I think that's going to come through the air. James Conner is banged up, as we talked about, with the calf injury. The running game should see some help, so keep an eye on that. If Conner can't go, I think Benny Snell could have some sneaky flex value. He hasn't been great most part of the season. As for the receivers, Juju, fine. Obviously, Mr. Claypool is upside. Deontay Johnson should be in the game. Eric Ebron is a tight end with a tight end floor. There's touchdown upside. And for the Bengals,
Eric Ebron is a tight end, yes.
Yes. As for the Bengals, you're not playing Kyle Allen or Mixon. Probably not going to be back yet. Not playing Gio. Receivers, AJ Green got the work last week. I don't think I'm playing a receiver. Maybe Tyler Boyd. He should have a better floor. Drew Sample.
Where the hell did you come up with Brad Allen?
It's an Allen there.
It's Brandon Allen, but I'm asking
Brandon Allen. Fine, fucking BR name. BRA name.
Who the hell is Brad Allen?
I got I don't know.
That name is something. I don't know why.
A white boy name? I don't know.
Australian martial artist.
Okay. I mean, he sounds a lot cooler than fucking Brandon.
Sorry, I pay attention to Australian martial artists a lot.
You have any takes?
He looks a lot cooler than Brandon Allen, too. Holy
sure
shit. It's like a ginger with a mohawk and a cool mustache.
Dude, he sounds like a better Andy Dalton, which fits perfectly for the Bengals.
Here, hold on. I can do this.
You gonna throw it up there on the watch?
I'm gonna. Yeah, hold on. Check this out. No, share screen. That's what I want. That is Brad Allen.
Hold on. You look. Wow.
Apparently doesn't show up on YouTube, but Google.
He looks really stoned in that picture, though.
Google Brad Allen. Anyways. Where was I? Oh, we were talking about a football game, weren't we?
I gave my points. You have anything you want to like? This is not a great fantasy mashup to end Week 15.
It's not a great fantasy matchup to end. No. This is a game. Bengals are gonna have to throw. It's a terrible matchup for them. Keep an eye on Joe Hayden's status as the week progresses. We'll have more on that later. Mike Hilton's played very, very well. If they both go, pretty much kills Boyd and Green, I think. So you may get some love out of T. Higgins, but you may get some love out of T. Higgins in that one. But yeah, I'm not banking on it. And yeah, Steelers are, like you said, not going to be a ton of ceiling. They're just going to try to get out of there. As you've mentioned in the past, they've got to score. Question is going to be, does Deontay get off the schneid or not? Juju, I'm okay with as a flex play. Claypool's always got upside, although he hasn't had a blow-up game in a few weeks. So,
yeah, the offense is a couple weeks. That's it. Those are all the games, guys. We are both. I am very much buzzed.
All right, I'm drinking a bourbon, so I'm going to review it, and then I'm going to figure out what it is. Because, again, blind samples, the way we do the advent calendars, I'm running one for the St. Louis Bourbon Society. It's a bourbon group that I admin, or help to admin. But this one is from a calendar I'm not admitting, so I don't know what this is. I haven't seen it yet. I have 25 blind samples. This one definitely tastes cask finish to me. Get a lot of red fruit, cherry, grape. on the nose of it as I drink it. Again, red fruit up front, not bright either. It's dark red fruit. So again, like black cherry, dark grape, blackberry, those types of notes. Comes through creamy. A little bit of a rye pop there in the middle. Don't think it's a rye. Definitely think this is a rye bourbon, though. It's not a wheated bourbon. I think it's a cask finish rye bourbon. If I had to guess, we're in the 90 proof range, and I'm going to assume 8 to 10 years on it. Decent color. Finish is medium short. It could be Jefferson's.
I would say Jefferson's Oceans.
Jefferson's Oceans aren't cask finished though, and that's what's
okay.
That's what's
maybe it was.
throwing me off here though is the cask finish. Hold on, I'll let you know what it is. Then we'll see how right I am. I'm probably way off, by the way.
If you're right though, we're gonna become a pure liquor podcast.
Well, I didn't take a guess at what it was. Oh, really? That's surprising. It's not cask finished, it's Weller 12.
Wow.
Which is different because the Weller 12 bottle I have is a lot of... Well, it's a wheated bourbon.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense to me. Did I grab the right thing? Did it 15? That has so much fruit on it.
Weller 12 next to me.
I'm
not gonna grab it.
I have Weller 12 upstairs, but it's a lot more woody than what this is. Like, there's a lot more wood to it. The fruit makes sense because Buffalo Trace in general, Buffalo Trace products have a ton of fruit to them. But
I mean, you're right. It is 90 proof.
Yeah, no, I'm spot on the proof.
Yeah.
But, and I guess it makes sense for it being a wheated, because that's going to have fruitier notes to it. And Buffalo Trace products, which Weller is, naturally do have a lot of fruit notes to them. But this just is way different than the bottle of Weller 12 I have upstairs. And I don't know. I've had a long-standing theory that because these have been sitting in these bottles for about a month or so with air on top, that maybe the character's changing, especially because, you know, like your bottle, there's still a lot more liquid in there. Your air to liquid ratio is going to be a lot different. So I don't know if maybe it's aerating or what. There's been studies that show that doesn't really change the flavor though. So okay. I don't know. That was interesting. That doesn't really. I think one of the exercises I want to do this summer, by the way, is when you come down, I want to just have a blind sample kit waiting for you out of the 90 some odd bottles I have here.
I would thoroughly enjoy that.
And send you back with them, and then we'll do it on a podcast one night.
Oh my God. I want to get better at tasting. That's it for the show, guys. We are one more week out. We'll fuck around with week 17, but we don't care about week 17.
No, we don't give a shit about. We're not doing a full preview on week 17.
No. There are going to be some changes moving forward from this. We will get more into that when the season moves on. Our lives have changed a little bit, and our interests. This will still be a fantasy podcast, but there will be a little bit more
it'll be
to
a football and alcohol podcast.
Yeah, it will be a football and booze podcast more so.
Plus maybe some other things. Football and booze will still be covered. Let's put it that way.
Yes, we will definitely be talking about fantasy and just football in general throughout the offseason. That's our favorite part of the year. We will not forget about that.
We morph a little bit every offseason, though. If you've been with us, you're used to it. So
yeah, so we like to change. We stop caring about trying to get every single person to like us. This is our show. We have found, I think, our footing more so this year, especially last year. So again, thank you for those of you that have stayed out there and stuck it out with us. One more week out. Let's get you those championships, and then let's get to the off season. I'm excited about this 21 class. I'm excited to talk about it. I'm excited to talk more bourbon, more beer, sporting cards, everything else.
Everything else in between.
This was a great distraction from where my life has been the last few days. Probably a different kind of distraction for what Hopper's life has been.
It's a sense of normalcy is what it is. And that's what I said when I sat down to watch football on Sunday. From Tuesday to Sunday was such a whirlwind that when I did the live stream Sunday morning and then went upstairs to sit down and watch football, that was the first time Lindsay and I had looked at each other and said, this feels normal to what life was before. So it was, this feels normal, and sitting down and doing this feels normal, and we're starting to fold back into what life is going to be. But this is as another mark towards, normalcy after the transition period of having a kid. So
right on. That's it. We've gone like 2 hours.
Right at.
Which is also pretty normal for our shows.
Yep, we're going to try to get something about that too. Anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be back next week. One more.
See
We'll
you
be
guys.
back for the home stretch. We'll probably put a little
more.
bit more into the previews for that because championships and stuff.
Yep.
Hopefully a big question episode, so make sure you
Bring
subscribe
on
on
the
YouTube.
questions. Hopefully the answers we give you yields positive